Coaching is what you love, but building a business is the thing that gives you the freedom to keep doing it. If you're like me, you got into this game because you love coaching, you love connecting, working with people and giving people the platform to be able to really see what maybe they actually can't see right now, which is the potential and the opportunity for where they can go, what they can achieve and who they can become. But as you grow, you then have to step into this new role, which is the role of being a business owner, which is still, to tell you the truth, something that I'm currently trying to figure out. And in this video, I'm gonna walk and talk you through the 5 biggest problems that I bumped up against as a business owner, 3 questions that have changed the game for me, and 1 idea, 1 action that you can go and implement, you can install, and you can deploy straight away that's gonna help you operate with more calm, confidence, clarity, certainty, all of the C's, which is going to change the game for you in your business. I'm Joe Parrish. I've built a highly profitable freedom business, and now we help coaches do exactly the same. Healthy profit every single month, work with clients that you love, and build your dream life now and not later. Let's get this show on the road. Before I do so, I wanted to just quickly read this out. Now, I'm not a massive believer in reading off a screen, but I think this is well worth it. This is from a guy called Rich Webster, and when I read this, it was like, you get me. It was like he whispered in my soul, so I think it's well worth it, and it will set the frame for today. If you want to find out who you really are, start a business. When you have a business, there's nowhere to hide. If you have money issues, you'll feel it. If you have low self-esteem, you'll feel it. If you can't handle confrontation, you'll feel it. If you can't focus, you'll feel it. If you want it to grow, you have to grow. Your business is a mirror, and it takes whatever is inside of you and makes it real. Your business is your shadow in motion. Every action you take is a reflection of yourself. When you sit down to work today, pay attention to how you feel. What are you drawn towards? What are you avoiding? Those feelings are a map, follow them. That's where the real growth lives. We always say your business development will never exceed your personal development, which is why we take a person-first approach. That's the only way that you can build a business your way. Otherwise, you're constantly copying, replicating, and just trying to take tactics and surface level things from other people, and then you end up just trying to bodge things together, but it never really truly aligns, and you never really feel as though that you are in the driving seat, which is exactly how we want you to feel, how we want you to operate, and that's how I believe that you really build a business that gives you the finance, the freedom, and also the fulfillment and fun that you're currently looking for. So let's have a look at the 5 big problems that I've experienced. You're either in one or 2 camps. You're either the coach who just happens to run a business, or you're the business owner that sells coaching. And when you look at everybody online, they will typically have a certain camp that they'll fall into. They'll either be telling you that you just need to be a great coach who gets great results, and you just need to focus on that and everything else will take care of itself. You have the other camp, which is you need to be great at marketing, you need to be great at selling. Don't worry so much about the coaching. You just need to get really good at being able to monetize your product and being able to get yourself out to the world. Now, in my opinion, the blend of the 2 is really where the beauty lies. You have to be able to develop the skills of being a great coach. You've got to be able to get the results. You've got to be able to have the proof. You've got to be able to coach. You've got to be able to communicate. You've got to be able to deliver what it is that you say that you can do. But then you also need to be able to find your voice, strengthen your message. You need to be able to build your personal brand, publish content. You need to know exactly how you can build the right marketing, lead generation, sales, systems, structures, and all of those good things, businessy things, in order for you to be able to allow yourself the opportunity to amplify even more of this. And this is a process and a journey, but you can't, I believe, have one without the other. You need to be able to develop the skills, and then as you grow, you can start to delegate, automate, and eradicate the things that don't serve you, so you can then double down on the things that you absolutely love. Number 2, as your business grows, my biggest lesson and realization was that my business got harder and it got heavier because I had more roles, more responsibilities, and it's a bit like Buckaroo, where you're just adding on all of this additional weight and all this additional load. And then externally, you might be getting a lot of success, more clients, more money, more revenue, all those good things. But internally, you feel as though that you're the bottleneck, everything's reliant upon you. You don't feel as though you can slow down. Panic is master's productivity. Fear is master's I'm in control, and you are then unable to get off this hamster wheel. And as you grow, you then start to question, how much more do I want to continue to compromise and sacrifice, because you just feel as though that it's going to continue to take even more of you. And that's where you can start to reach a point where the passion starts to dwindle, and that becomes then obviously a real bottleneck, because that's the reason that you got into this in the first place. Number 3, emotional regulation. Running a business is a bit like a roller coaster. I can't remember exactly who said it, but they coined the frame of running a business is a bit like eating glass and staring into the abyss. Inside your business, there's going to be so many different challenges. There's going to be so many new things that you're going to be exposed to, because you're constantly moving into uncharted territory. You're in the game of solving problems. And when you are so invested and so immersed in your business, and there's going to be the undulations, which is going to happen, it's not about trying to avoid or mitigate those. It's just about being able to raise awareness and look at, how am I bouncing back? How am I operating from a cleaner set of thinking patterns? And how am I not just operating from emotion, but I'm also using data and logic to be able to ensure that I'm taking the next steps that are going to best suit me in the short term and also in the long term. But being able to regulate emotions can be so difficult because you're so invested and you're exposing so much of you, especially in the infancy when you're going from zero to something. And then when you get to something and you realize that you've then got to be able to let go in order for you to play to win and for you to be able to evolve, that also can take so much from you as well. So the emotional regulation piece is absolutely integral. Number 4, feeling lost. There's been so many times in my business journey that I felt lost, and then I felt a degree of guilt, shame, and like, that's not how I should feel, because I should have it all together. I should know what I'm doing. I should know where I'm going. I'm also coaching all these other people. And you then almost like hide away. Well, I did anyway. Instead of realizing that feeling lost in business is a part of the process. Because when you go from what feels known to the unknown, when you go through what feels safe to new uncharted territory, you're taking a step into a world that you've never even been to before. So feeling lost is absolutely necessary, and it's your relationship with uncertainty and unpredictability that's going to be absolutely key. And understanding and acknowledging that path is no different from going to a new city or driving down a new road without a sat nav that you've never ever been on before. Of course, there's going to be a level of uncertainty, unpredictability, and just feeling as though that you don't know what you're doing or you don't know where you're going, which is completely normal. You need to be able to have that exposure, which is a completely normal feeling. And when I shared this with the team a couple of weeks ago, there were so many people that made me feel a lot better, because I felt as though that I was doing something wrong. And number 5, there isn't a rule book. You can speak to 10, 15, 20, 100 different business owners, and they will tell you a different thing about what it means to run and build and create a business, because everybody's got different needs, different wants, different values, different beliefs. Every single time we look out the window, we see different things, and our view of the world makes sense to us. So in this, it's not about like, this is exactly how you run a business. This is exactly what you need to do. This is about how are you building trust within yourself to be able to action, implement, observe what's going on, get the data, and then make the necessary and the right decisions moving forward, and knowing that there's, again, going to be that level of unknown, but you'll figure it out, because that's who you are, that's what you do, and that's what you've always done. And you just need to be okay with knowing the next move, and then being okay with the consequences of the decisions and the actions that you have now taken. And there's a big difference between what is everybody else doing and what should I be doing in comparison to how do I want to do things. Now, of course, in your initial infancy stages, there's going to be I need to follow this path, because, well, you need to be able to gain some momentum and you're stepping into a completely new world. But once you've got some exposure, once you've got some experience and you've been able to live it and learn it, and you've got that data, that's when you can start to gain clarity around, this is how I want to do things, this is what I want to build, this is what I want to grow, and this is where I want to take my business, this is what I want to do more of, less of, and this is how I want it to function and operate. But there isn't a rule book. Our role is to be able to give you the platform to be able to have the book and have the pages, but ultimately you're the person who's now going to be writing exactly what that specifically looks like and feels good to you. So let's look at 3 questions that have changed the game for me. Number 1, are your priorities really your priorities? There's a difference between this is what I think that I should want, or this is what I think that I want, and then backing that up with action, commitment, and doing what's needed and necessary, and making the necessary compromises and sacrifices in comparison to this is what I think that I want, and this is what I think my priorities should be, and then, yeah, it doesn't really align. So are your priorities really your priorities, or is the things that you think that you want just a nice idea, and the reality is your actions don't back up the direction and the commitment that you now want to be able to make? A great frame that I heard a little while ago is, if your future self looked at your current self, would they say that you're as serious about your goals as you say that you are? Number 2, are you running your business like a business, or are you running it like a hobby? One of the biggest shifts for me was when I went from this being kind of like a part-time, we'll just see whether this works out and how it's going to go, and I don't really know, and I like coaching, and I've got a few clients and this is really good, to going, right, okay, this is now a commitment. This is where I want to go. This is the vision that I have. This is the mission that I have. Here's now what I need to put in place. Here's how I need to behave. Here's how I need to act. Here's how I need to operate. And here's the things that I need to be able to change. Here are the things that I'm kind of half-arsing. Here are the things that I'm not really focusing on. Here's what I'm currently avoiding. This is what I'm not currently seeing. And even in my mind, it was just a level of intentionality and a level of commitment that I was now making to the standards that I wanted to be able to set in order for me to be able to build the business, work with the clients, and build the life that I knew that I wanted to be able to create. And finally, number 3, there's a big difference between what you really want in comparison to what it is that you think that you should want. And within this, it's the question of, am I willing to pay the price of what it's going to take in order for me to be able to get there? Everybody wants the thing. Very few people want to be able to do the things to get to the thing. And there are going to be so many hidden costs, trade-offs, unknowns, and things that you're not necessarily aware of whenever you're stepping into something new. There's always going to be the knowns based upon guides, support systems, and the people who are able to navigate and obviously show. but your very best lessons, I believe, have to be experienced in order for them to be fully understood. So you've got to chase the thing, you've got to do the thing, and you've got to be okay with actually going down the wrong path and then deciding, actually, that's not for me, being able to iterate and then go again. I think it's Naval that says business is a game of 10,000 iterations, and that's always what we're currently in. Beta mode. And actually a lot of this is about figuring out what you don't want so that you can get clear over what you do want. And the more that you can figure that stuff out and you can learn that through obviously exposure and experience, that's when you can set yourself free, because that will give you then so much more alignment and so much more clarity. One big idea. So many people in business think they need better systems initially. And while systems are super important, systems are safe yourself, time, effort, money, and stress. This is something you can now build, you can record, you can create, so you can then repeat it over and over and over again. And your business is going to require different systems. But my core belief is that actually what you need is better rhythm. You need better rhythm because you are the brand, you are the business. It's going to be your energy, it's going to be your focus, your intentionality, your boundaries, your barriers, what it is you're saying no to, what it is you're saying yes to, where it is that you actually now want to be able to go, your ability to focus on certain projects and certain tasks and have that level of discipline that's going to be absolutely integral. We can build systems, and yes, we need to be able to build different systems at different levels, but the best business owners that I know are the ones who have the greatest rhythm, because their energy, their cadence, their flow, their direction, and all of what I've just mentioned is completely aligned. So let's have a look at how we can now help you create better rhythm, and then we can understand what are the systems that you need to put in place that will then support you with that, which will then allow you to do more of the stuff that you now love, will help you focus on multiplying the business and not just maintaining the business, and also build a business that gives you the level of freedom and fulfillment, not just the finance that you're looking for. Let's go to the whiteboard and I'm going to show you more. Okay, so I'm going to presume that at the moment you are a solopreneur, you're literally running by yourself. And what I want to be able to do is just get clear around what are going to be the maintenance tasks that you now have in your business. The maintenance tasks are going to be the things that you do just for you to be able to maintain the business that you currently have. And then what we have on the other side is multiplication-based tasks. These are the things that we now do that are typically important but non-urgent. So if we have a look at what it is that you're currently doing. So if I break this down into delivery, every single week you're now going to have check-ins. You're going to have comms, you might have coaching calls, you've got programming, we have the stuff with the community, you have new client onboarding, we also have sales. I tie sales into here because I always feel like if you are currently running kind of a sales call, that can quite often be the first initial onboarding call. We then have other things with admin, which will be built and centered around the finances, tracking, reporting, etc. There are far more as well that I could probably include, but that just gives us enough of a ballpark for us to be able to start. We then look at it from, let's say, a marketing, or even like let's call this like a get clients. I look at the basic functions that we need to be doing every single week. Content, collabs, and partnerships, networks, the ability just for you to further build and develop relationships. And then we also have conversations as well that we're now having. And then if we look at the multiply side from a delivery perspective, these are going to be the developments and improvements that you're going to be making to the quality of your service. Now, this might potentially be systems as an example. It could also be IP, which in my mind is like record and not repeat. How are you? I call this the 3 Ps. Being able to unpack your philosophy, your principles, and put that into a clear process, so not every single thing needs to come through you. We've then got things like business meetings, where you're starting to run internal business meetings with yourself to be able to look at all of this stuff and just instead of being down and in and always just trying to respond and react and firefight, we're starting to look at the data, we're starting to look at trends, we're starting to look at patterns. Again, there's more that we can include in there, but let's leave it that. We've then got marketing, lead generation. Let's just call this, again, get clients. You've then got campaigns that we need to build. You might have assets that we now need to be able to start to create. That now might be long form, lead magnets, webinars, etc. Again, this is where we're starting to look at more the sales pages, the process that somebody will go through. This now might be obviously training or building predictable systems. But what I want you to be able to do is when you look at that board, go, wow, As a solo business owner, that is a lot of roles and responsibilities that you have to juggle, which can often feel like buckaroo. And what I want you to think about right now is like, how much time am I currently spending on the left side within a given week, and how much time am I currently spending on the right side? And our goal is for you to be spending 50% over here, and then 50% over here. I say to every single coach that we partner alongside, our goal is to at least an absolute minimum have 1 to do 2 days per week that you're now able to work on the business. So if that's the goal and that's the target, so we can spend our time really looking at the multiplication, the growing, the enhancing, and the improving, what we then need to do is we need to look at, okay, right now, what do we need to delegate? What do we need to delete? What do we need to automate? Or what is it we now need to still keep doing because you're the only person that can do that, or it's the very thing that you now love and enjoy? So what I need to be able to do is go through each one and just write down, do I need to delegate, delete, automate, or do I now need to do? So we can start to get clear around them. What are the systems that we may potentially need to start building? What can we start to refine? Where can we improve our rhythm and our flow? And not only that, how are you currently planning your days? How are you currently planning your weeks? And have we now got strong deadlines for these? Or does the check-in day roll from a Monday into a Tuesday into a Wednesday, which also then goes into a Thursday, and before you know it, it's the end of the week? Comms, have we got constant open loops where we're just dipping in and out of our WhatsApp channel all of the time, and we're then unable to really get focus? Calls, have you got clarity around the times in which you're now going to be putting availability into your diary, or can people book in at any given point? Programming, have you got system structures and frameworks, or are you just changing things sporadically, or are you procrastinating? It's taking you way longer than you need to. Community, is that something that you're actually just spending time each day going into, adding value, connecting, etc.? So I want you to look at what other systems we now need to start to put in place that will enhance and will refine and will improve this. And what we often realize is that the number one system that you now actually have is you, and it's focus. It's being able to have better boundaries and being able to have better flow in terms of what you do, when you do it, and how you currently do it. So go away. Take the opportunity to look at, okay, how can I now get this to here so I can spend time with here? We can only ever grow into the capacity and the availability that you have. And when you start to move into the next levels of business, what ends up happening is, well, it can get harder, it can get heavier. You feel like you've got more to do. You're then having to constantly question how much more that you're wanting to compromise and sacrifice. And your business ambition will always be limited to the amount of energy that you have to give to it. So this is a simple and easy way for you to be able to look at your rhythm and then look at what are the systems that I need to refine so that I can now have better rhythm moving forwards for me to be able to continue to grow in alignment with the fun, the fulfillment, the freedom, and also the finances that I want to be able to generate. In order for you to effectively grow, you need to be able to efficiently manage what you already have. And that's exactly what I wanted to be able to go through today, was just give you the opportunity to take a bird's eye view approach and just go through, okay, what am I currently doing that I don't need to be doing? What am I doing that I'm spending so much time, effort, and energy on that isn't actually serving me and it's not really allowing me to move forward? And what is it right now that I'm not currently seeing, so that you can make the next move on the chessboard, which will then help you unlock the next level. Every single new level is never going to be that perfect balance, but most importantly, this is about the intentionality, the focus, and looking at, okay, what are the moves that I can start to make that will then allow me the opportunity to both maintain with more efficiency and more ease and also more enjoyment, but also the opportunity for me to now be able to multiply, grow, and expand because you're now in the driving seat.